North Dakota has one of the least regulated tenant screening environments in the country. The state's regulatory philosophy strongly favors property rights and minimal government intervention, and the screening process reflects that approach. If you're screening tenants in North Dakota, the federal FCRA and Fair Housing Act are essentially your entire compliance framework. The state has not enacted meaningful additional restrictions on tenant screening. Let's start with application fees. North Dakota does not cap application fees. There is no state statute limiting what a landlord can charge for tenant screening. North Dakota's landlord tenant statutes, found in North Dakota Century Code, Chapter 47-16, do not address application fee amounts, caps, or refund procedures. Landlords can charge whatever they determine is reasonable. Most North Dakota landlords charge between $20 and $40 per applicant. North Dakota's rental market is relatively small and affordable, outside of the oil-producing regions during boom periods, and keeping fees proportionate to actual screening costs is good practice. Excessive fees discourage applicants in an already limited market. Criminal history screening in North Dakota is completely unrestricted at the state level. North Dakota does not have a ban-the-box or fair chance housing law. There are no state-level restrictions on when or how landlords can inquire about criminal history. Landlords can ask about arrests and convictions on the initial application, can use criminal history as a screening factor without conducting a formal individualized assessment, and are not subject to look-back period limits. No North Dakota municipality has enacted local criminal history screening restrictions for housing. Fargo, the state's largest city, has not enacted any local screening ordinances, nor has Bismarck, Grand Forks, Minot, or any other North Dakota community. The screening environment is entirely uniform across the state. HUD's 2016 guidance on criminal history and disparate impact does apply in North Dakota. While the state's legal culture and court system are generally favorable to landlord rights, the federal framework governs. North Dakota has a significant Native American population, including the Turtle Mountain Band of Chippewa, the Spirit Lake Nation, the Standing Rock Sioux, the 3 affiliated tribes, and others, and criminal history policies that disproportionately affect Native American applicants may face scrutiny under federal fair housing law. Blanket rejection policies that cannot be justified by a legitimate business necessity create federal risk regardless of the absence of state restrictions. North Dakota landlords should document their criminal history criteria and apply them consistently. Considering the nature of the offense, how long ago it occurred, and its relevance to the tenancy is good practice that reduces federal exposure, even though state law doesn't require this analysis. Source of income protection does not exist in North Dakota. There is no state statute prohibiting landlords from discriminating based on the source of an applicant's income. Landlords can legally decline applicants who pay with housing choice vouchers, Social Security, disability payments, or other government assistance. No North Dakota municipality has enacted a local source of income protection ordinance. Participation in voucher programs is entirely voluntary. For credit reports, North Dakota follows standard FCRA requirements, permissible purpose, written consent, and adverse action notice procedures. North Dakota does not impose any additional state-level requirements for credit report access, adverse action content, or notification timelines beyond the federal baseline. North Dakota's fair housing protections are found in the North Dakota Human Rights Act, North Dakota Century Code, Chapter 14, RZ-02-4. The Act prohibits discrimination in housing based on race, color, religion, national origin, sex, disability, familial status, age, receipt of public assistance, and marital status. North Dakota's protected categories go beyond the federal baseline with the inclusion of age, receipt of public assistance, and marital status. The receipt of public assistance protection is noteworthy and somewhat unusual for a conservative state. Under this provision, landlords cannot discriminate against applicants based on their receipt of public assistance. This doesn't function exactly like the comprehensive source of income protections found in states like Oregon or Washington. The scope and enforcement have been more limited. but it does provide a basis for challenging screening decisions that target applicants receiving government assistance. The practical effect of North Dakota's public assistance protection is that landlords should be cautious about blanket policies that exclude all applicants receiving any form of public assistance. While the provision hasn't been as aggressively enforced as source of income protections in more tenant-protective states, it does exist in statute, and a clear pattern of rejecting applicants solely because they receive public assistance could form the basis of a discrimination complaint with the North Dakota Department of Labor and Human Rights. The marital status protection means landlords cannot make screening decisions based on whether an applicant is single, married, divorced, or widowed. Questions about marital status on applications should be limited to what's necessary for occupancy determination, not used as a screening criterion. The age protection means landlords cannot discriminate against applicants based on age, though legitimate screening criteria like income verification, credit history, and rental references that may correlate with age are still permissible. The key is that age itself cannot be a factor in the decision. From a practical standpoint, North Dakota has a small and unique rental market that has experienced dramatic fluctuations driven by the energy industry. Fargo, the state's largest city, has the most stable and diversified rental market. Fargo's economy is driven by healthcare. Sanford Health and Essentia Health are major employers. Education, North Dakota State University and Concordia College. Technology. Microsoft has a significant presence, and the city has a growing startup ecosystem, agriculture services, and manufacturing. The Fargo-Moorhead metro area straddles the North Dakota-Minnesota border, and the market is influenced by both states' regulations. Properties on the Minnesota side of the metro are subject to Minnesota's more restrictive screening requirements. Fargo's rental market is competitive with steady demand and moderate rents. The NDSU student population creates seasonal demand and a significant number of applicants with limited credit and rental history. Having a consistent cosigner or guarantor policy for student applicants is essential. Bismarck, the state capital, has a stable market driven by state government, healthcare, including Sanford Health and CHI St. Alexius, and energy industry administrative operations. The Bismarck-Mandan metro area has moderate demand and affordable rents. Grand Forks, home to the University of North Dakota and Grand Forks Air Force Base, has a market influenced by both the university and the military. UND's enrollment drives student rental demand, while military tenants from Grand Forks AFB represent a reliable segment of the market. Landlords should understand military income documentation, leave-in earnings statements, and BAH rates. Grand Forks BAH rates are moderate and influence pricing near the base. Minot, home to Minot Air Force Base, has a military-influenced rental market. Minot AFB is a significant employer in the region, and military tenants represent a large portion of the local rental market. BAH rates for Minot reflect the area's moderate cost of living. The base's operational tempo and personnel rotations create regular turnover, making military applicant screening a routine part of landlording in Minot. The Williston Basin and Bakken Oil region, centered around Williston, Watford City, Dickinson, and Tioga, experienced one of the most dramatic rental market booms and busts in modern American history. During the peak of the oil boom, rents in Williston rivaled Manhattan. One-bedroom apartments rented for $2,000 or more, and workers lived in man camps and RVs because housing was unavailable at any price. The boom brought thousands of workers to communities that had populations in the single-digit thousands. Landlords during the boom could charge astronomical rents and had applicants lining up. The bust brought vacancies, dramatic rent declines, and population loss as workers left when drilling slowed. The Bakken region has stabilized but remains cyclical. Landlords in the oil patch must understand that the market is directly tied to energy prices and drilling activity. During active periods, screening is important because the applicant pool includes transient workers from across the country, many with inconsistent rental history, variable income, and unfamiliar backgrounds. During slow periods, the applicant pool shrinks and landlords must balance screening standards with the need to maintain occupancy. Screening oil field workers requires specific attention to income verification. Many oilfield workers earn high hourly wages but have variable schedules, overtime during busy periods, reduced hours during slow periods. Pay stubs showing recent earnings, combined with employer verification of expected ongoing employment, provide the best picture of an applicant's income stability. Tax returns from prior years can help establish a baseline. One best practice for North Dakota landlords: despite the state's minimal regulation, develop and document your screening criteria in writing. Specify your credit score threshold, income to rent ratio, rental history requirements, criminal history evaluation standards, and how you handle applicants with limited credit history. Apply those criteria uniformly to every applicant. North Dakota's public assistance and marital status protections mean that some categories are protected even though the state is generally landlord-friendly. Documented, consistently applied criteria are your defense. Another best practice: for landlords in the Fargo-Moorhead Metro, understand that properties on the Minnesota side of the border are subject to Minnesota's significantly more restrictive screening requirements, including source of income protections and broader fair housing categories. If you own properties on both sides of the metro, you need different screening procedures for each state. Don't assume that North Dakota's permissive framework applies to your Minnesota properties. A third best practice: for landlords in the Bakken region, develop a screening approach that's calibrated to the energy cycle. During active drilling periods, screen carefully because the applicant pool includes workers from across the country with varying backgrounds. During slow periods, be prepared to adjust your standards realistically. Maintaining occupancy during a downturn often requires flexibility on credit scores or rental history while still maintaining minimum standards for income verification and criminal history. North Dakota requires landlords to return the security deposit within 30 days of the tenant vacating. The deposit must be held in a federally insured interest-bearing savings or passbook account, though the interest earned belongs to the landlord unless the tenancy is for more than 9 months, in which case interest accrues to the tenant. There is no statutory cap on the deposit amount, giving landlords flexibility to require larger deposits when appropriate. For the complete guide to North Dakota tenant screening laws, visit tenantscreeningbackgroundcheck.com. Subscribe to our channel for every state in our tenant screening law series.